After 25 years of perfect service at Riverside Manufacturing, my boss fired me for resisting change and had security escort me out like a criminal. But when I discovered what he was really hiding and his panicked voicemail started flooding my phone at midnight, I realized my firing was just the beginning of something much darker. What would you do if you found out your loyal decades of work were about to be used to destroy hundreds of innocent families? Ice flooded my veins when I saw Director Thompson walking straight toward my desk at 7 in the morning. My pulse hammered against my ribs while I studied his expression. Something was wrong. Very wrong. After 25 years at Riverside Manufacturing, I knew that look. Thompson only showed up this early when someone was about to lose their job. "Sam Collins, we need to talk," he said without his usual fake smile. "My office." Now. The walk across the factory floor felt like forever. Workers stopped their conversations to stare at us. Everyone knew what this meant. Rodriguez caught my eye from the quality control station and shook his head slowly. Janet from Human Resources was already sitting in Thompson's office when we arrived. She held a thick folder in her lap. "Close the door," Thompson ordered. My hands were shaking as I sat down. The leather chair squeaked under my weight. Thompson's office always smelled like expensive cologne and lies. Today it felt like a trap. "Sam, your performance review raises some serious concerns," Thompson began, opening the folder on his desk. "Multiple supervisors have reported your resistance to our new automated inspection system." "Resistance?" My voice cracked. "I've been documenting problems with the system for months. The error rate is 23% compared to our current 2%. We're going to have major quality issues." Janet wrote something in her notebook without looking up. Thompson leaned back in his chair and studied me like I was a bug under a microscope. "That's exactly the attitude we're talking about," he said. "Innovation requires adaptability. Your constant complaints about the AI system are undermining team morale." "Those aren't complaints. They're legitimate safety concerns based on data analysis." Thompson's jaw tightened. "The decision has been made at the corporate level. Hamilton himself approved this implementation. Are you questioning VP Hamilton's judgment?" The mention of Hamilton made my stomach drop. Everyone feared the vice president of operations. He had fired 3 department heads last year for what he called failure to evolve. Nobody questioned Hamilton and kept their job. "I'm questioning the wisdom of replacing a proven system with one that fails basic quality standards," I said carefully. "Your inability to embrace change is noted in your file." Janet spoke for the first time. Her voice was cold and professional. "We're scheduling mandatory coaching sessions to address your adaptation challenges." Coaching sessions. That was corporate speak for, "We're building a case to fire you." "What specific changes am I supposedly resisting?" I asked. Thompson pulled out a printed email. "According to Supervisor Williams, you refused to sign off on the AI calibration report because the calibration was wrong. The system marked 17 good parts as defective and passed 11 actual defects. I documented everything. Documentation that Williams never received," Thompson said smugly. My heart pounded. Williams had definitely received my report. I handed it to him personally and watched him put it in his filing cabinet. Something was happening here. Something bigger than just my job performance. "I have copies of all my reports," I said. "Copies that somehow never made it to management," Janet added. "We're concerned about your communication failures as well." The pieces started falling together. My reports were disappearing. Williams was lying about receiving them. Thompson was building a case based on false information. This wasn't about my performance at all. "Is there something you're not telling me?" I asked directly. Thompson and Janet exchanged a quick look. Too quick. But I caught it. "Sam, we're trying to help you succeed here," Thompson said. "But that requires cooperation with new initiatives. The coaching sessions start Monday. And if I refuse? Then we'll need to discuss other options," Janet said quietly. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Attend their fake coaching sessions or face termination. After 25 years of perfect performance reviews and 0 safety incidents, they were manufacturing reasons to get rid of me. "I need time to think about this," I said. "Take the weekend," Thompson agreed. "But remember, Sam, change is coming whether you like it or not. The question is whether you'll be part of our future." Walking back to my workstation felt like a funeral march. Rodriguez was waiting by my desk with a worried expression. "How bad?" he whispered. "Bad. They're setting me up for something. I heard Hamilton was here yesterday asking questions about you specifically. Wanted to know about your reports on the AI system." Hamilton had been here. Asking about me. The VP of operations didn't visit the factory floor unless something major was happening. Fear crawled up my spine like ice water. What kind of questions? About your so-called resistance to innovation. Williams told him you were undermining the new system implementation. Williams, the same supervisor who claimed he never received my reports. The same man who was now apparently feeding information to Hamilton about my supposed resistance. Rodriguez, I need you to do something for me. Quietly. Name it. Start keeping copies of everything. Every report, every email, every conversation about the AI system. Something's not right here. Rodriguez nodded grimly. Already started. My gut's been screaming warnings for weeks. The rest of the day dragged by like torture. Every time Thompson walked past my station, my pulse spiked. Every email notification made me jump. Williams avoided eye contact completely. Even the normally friendly maintenance crew seemed distant. At closing time, I was packing up my things when I noticed Thompson's office light was still on. His door was slightly open, and I could hear him talking on the phone. The words Collins situation and timeline acceleration drifted into the hallway. Timeline acceleration. Whatever they were planning, it was happening faster than expected. Walking to my car, I made a decision that would change everything. This wasn't just about my job anymore. This was about something much bigger, and I was going to find out exactly what Thompson and Hamilton were really up to. But first, I needed evidence. Real evidence that couldn't disappear like my reports. Time to fight back. The security cameras in the parking lot couldn't see me from this angle as I waited in my car Monday morning. Thompson's BMW pulled into his reserved spot at exactly 6:30, just like every day for the past 3 years. He always arrived early to make private phone calls before the factory opened. Today, I was counting on that routine to save my career. My hands trembled as I checked the small recording device in my shirt pocket. Rodriguez had given it to me over the weekend along with some disturbing news. The AI system wasn't just failing quality tests. It was designed to fail. Hamilton's cost-cutting plan required the old quality control department to look incompetent so he could justify replacing us with cheaper contractors. 25 years of dedication, and they were throwing me away like garbage. Thompson's office window glowed yellow in the dawn light. Through my binoculars, I watched him pace back and forth while talking on his phone. His gestures looked angry and desperate. Whatever conversation he was having, it wasn't going well. At 7:15, my phone buzzed with a text from Janet. Please report to Conference Room B immediately upon arrival. Conference Room B. The place where careers win a die. Nobody ever left that room with their job intact. My stomach twisted into knots as I walked through the employee entrance. Williams was standing by the time clock, watching me with cold eyes. Morning, Sam, he said with fake cheerfulness. Big day ahead. The recording device felt heavy in my pocket as I made my way to Conference Room B. Thompson and Janet were already seated at the long table. A stack of papers sat in front of Thompson's chair. My termination paperwork, most likely. Sit down, Sam, Thompson said without looking up. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead like angry bees. Janet's pen clicked nervously against her notebook. Thompson finally raised his head and stared at me with dead eyes. After careful consideration of your performance issues and resistance to necessary changes, we've decided to terminate your employment effective immediately. The words hit me like a physical blow. Even though I'd been expecting them, hearing the actual sentence felt surreal. 25 years erased in one sentence. This is about the AI system reports, isn't it? I said, my voice steadier than I felt. This is about your inability to adapt to modern manufacturing processes, Thompson replied smoothly. Your constant negativity has become a liability. Negativity? I've been documenting legitimate safety concerns. Janet slid the termination papers across the table. Sign here, and here. Security will escort you to collect your personal items. What if I refuse to sign? Thompson's mask slipped for just a moment. Then we'll have to discuss the missing calibration reports and potential sabotage charges. Sabotage? They were actually threatening to frame me for sabotage. The recording device captured every word as my anger boiled over. You mean the reports that Williams claimed he never received? The same reports I have copies of at home. Reports that somehow never made it to the proper channels, Janet said coldly. Very suspicious timing, don't you think? The setup was complete. They had manufactured a paper trail showing me as incompetent and uncooperative. My missing reports became evidence of misconduct instead of proof of their cover-up. Brilliant and evil at the same time. I want to speak with Hamilton directly, I demanded. Thompson actually laughed. VP Hamilton has better things to do than deal with terminated employees. Sign the papers, Sam. Make this easy on yourself. And if I take this to the labor board? With what evidence? Janet asked sweetly. Our records show a clear pattern of performance issues and insubordination. Your word against documented company policy violations. They had thought of everything. Almost everything. Give me a moment to read through these papers, I said, reaching for the termination documents. Thompson nodded impatiently. 5 minutes. Then security arrives. While pretending to read the legal language, I activated the recording app on my phone and placed it face down on the table. If they wanted to destroy me, they were going to have to do it on the record. This severance package seems rather small for 25 years of service, I commented. Standard package for terminated employees, Janet replied. Sign or forfeit the severance entirely. What about my pension contributions? Thompson shifted uncomfortably. Those will be handled through normal channels. Normal channels that Hamilton controls? VP Hamilton has nothing to do with your termination, Thompson said quickly. Too quickly. Really? Because Rodriguez mentioned Hamilton was asking specific questions about my AI system reports. Thompson's face went pale. Rodriguez is mistaken. Is he? Or is Hamilton the one who ordered you to get rid of me before I could expose the AI system failures? That's a serious accusation, Sam, Janet warned. One that could land you in legal trouble. The truth isn't an accusation. It's just the truth. Thompson stood up abruptly. Sign the papers now, or I'm calling security to have you removed for trespassing. Interesting choice of words. Trespassing. Like I don't belong here after 25 years of perfect service. Your service record is irrelevant now, Thompson snapped. You've been terminated for cause. What cause, exactly? Doing my job too well? Caring about product quality? Refusing to sign off on a system that will get people hurt? Thompson's hands were shaking now. You're out of line, Collins. No, Thompson. You're out of line. And so is Hamilton. And whoever else is involved in this scheme to replace quality workers with cheap contractors. The room went dead silent. Janet stopped writing. Thompson's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I had hit the target. I don't know what you're talking about, Thompson said weakly. Sure you do. The AI system is designed to fail so you can justify firing the entire quality control department. Hamilton's cost-cutting plan in action. You can't prove any of that, Janet said, but her voice lacked conviction. Maybe not yet, but I'm going to try. Thompson reached for his phone. Security to conference room B. Immediately. While he made the call, I signed the termination papers with a smile. They thought they were winning, but they had just given me everything I needed. Their threats, their lies, their admission that Hamilton was involved, all recorded for posterity. 2 security guards arrived to escort me out. The walk through the factory floor was humiliating, but necessary. Every worker who saw me being marched out would remember this moment. They would ask questions. They would start paying attention. At my workstation, I packed my personal items while one guard watched. The other guard stood by Thompson, who was hovering nearby like a nervous vulture. Shame to lose someone with your experience, Rodriguez said loudly enough for Thompson to hear. 25 years of expertise walking out the door. Experience that couldn't adapt to modern requirements, Thompson replied defensively. Rodriguez shook his head. Maybe the requirements are wrong. Thompson's face turned red, but he didn't respond. Smart choice. Rodriguez had 43 years with the company and Hamilton's personal respect. Even Thompson wouldn't dare challenge him directly. Walking toward the exit with my cardboard box of personal items, I felt oddly calm. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of a much bigger fight. Thompson had made one critical mistake. He had threatened me with charges of sabotage and missing reports. But I had copies of everything at home. Every report, every email, every piece of documentation proving the AI system was fundamentally flawed. More importantly, I had recordings of their threats and lies. Hamilton thought he could destroy my career quietly. Thompson thought he could intimidate me into silence. They were both about to learn how wrong they were. My laptop screen cast an eerie blue glow across my kitchen table at 2 in the morning as I opened the first email attachment from my personal backup drive. Everything Thompson and Hamilton thought they had destroyed was sitting right here in my home office. But what I found in those files made my blood freeze in ways I never expected. Rodriguez had been right about the conspiracy, but he was wrong about the scope. The first folder contained my original AI system reports with timestamps proving Williams had received every single document. Screenshots showed him opening each file and forwarding them to his supervisor. Thompson's claims about missing documentation were complete lies, just as I suspected. But the second folder made my hands shake. Internal emails between Hamilton and corporate executives revealed a plan that went far beyond replacing the quality control department. They intended to shut down the entire Riverside facility within 18 months. The AI system wasn't just designed to fail our department. It was designed to create enough product defects that Hamilton could justify moving all operations to their Mexico plant. 300 jobs, 300 families, all sacrificed for Hamilton's profit margins. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging or face consequences. This is your only warning. Someone was watching my activities. Someone who knew I was reviewing the files tonight. The hair on my neck stood up as I realized they might be monitoring my internet connection or worse. I quickly copied everything to 3 different USB drives and hid them in separate locations around my house. One went inside an old coffee can in the garage, another inside my toolbox in the basement, the third taped under my bathroom sink. The emails revealed something else that made my stomach churn. Thompson wasn't just Hamilton's puppet. He was actively recruiting other department heads to support the closure plan in exchange for management positions in Mexico. Williams, Janet from HR, and 2 other supervisors were all part of the scheme. My firing wasn't about resisting change. It was about silencing the one person who could expose their plan before the board of directors made their final decision next month. A car door slammed outside my house. Through the kitchen window, I watched a dark sedan drive slowly past my driveway. The driver seemed to be looking directly at my lit windows. Fear crawled up my spine like ice water. I turned off all the lights and waited. The sedan made another pass 5 minutes later, slower this time. Someone was definitely watching me. Hamilton's warning about consequences wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. My phone rang, making me jump. Rodriguez's name appeared on the screen. Sam, are you alone? He whispered. Yes. Why are you whispering? Because I'm hiding in my garage. Someone broke into the factory tonight and went through our department files. Security footage shows 3 men in suits, but their faces were covered. What were they looking for? Your old reports. Williams' filing cabinets were completely cleaned out. Every document related to the AI system is gone. They were destroying evidence. Hamilton's people were working overtime to eliminate any proof of their sabotage. But they didn't know about my personal backup files or the recordings from yesterday's termination meeting. Rodriguez, meet me at Riverside Park tomorrow morning at dawn. Bring anything you've saved about the AI problems. Sam, this is getting dangerous. Maybe we should just let it go. Let it go? They're planning to close the entire plant. Everyone you work with is going to lose their job. What are you talking about? I'll explain tomorrow. Trust me. After Rodriguez hung up, I spent the next 3 hours printing every important document and organizing them into evidence folders. If something happened to my computer files, I needed hard copies that couldn't be deleted remotely. The most damning evidence was a recorded phone conversation between Hamilton and someone called the board chairman. Hamilton bragged about manipulating the AI system data to support the closure recommendation. He even laughed about framing me as the scapegoat for the quality problems. Collins was the perfect target, Hamilton's voice said through my speakers. 25 years of stellar performance made him arrogant. He actually thought his reports mattered. My jaw clenched as I listened to them mock my dedication. But their arrogance would be their downfall. Every word they spoke was now evidence against them. Dawn was breaking when I finally finished organizing everything. The evidence folders contained enough proof to destroy Hamilton's entire scheme. Email threads, financial projections, recorded conversations, and my original AI reports with timestamps showing the cover-up. But I needed more than evidence. I needed witnesses who could testify about the plant closure plan. People on the inside who had access to Hamilton's private meetings. Rodriguez was one ally, but he was just a quality control technician. I needed someone with real authority, someone Hamilton trusted enough to share his plans with. That's when I remembered Margaret Shin from accounting. She had worked at Riverside for 30 years and handled all the financial planning for major decisions. If Hamilton was preparing to close the plant, Margaret would have seen the budget projections. More importantly, Margaret owed me a favor from 5 years ago when I helped prove her department wasn't responsible for a major cost overrun. Thompson had tried to blame accounting for the budget problems, but my analysis showed the real issue was defective materials from a vendor who happened to be Hamilton's golf buddy. Margaret never forgot that I saved her job. My phone buzzed with another unknown number. Delete everything and walk away. This is your final warning. Final warning. They were escalating their threats because they were scared. Scared people make mistakes. And I was counting on Hamilton and Thompson to make a big one very soon. But first, I needed to contact Margaret before they got to her. The war for Riverside Manufacturing was just beginning. Margaret Shin's coffee cup shattered against her kitchen floor when I showed her the printed emails about the plant closure at 7 that morning. Her face went white as she read Hamilton's plans to eliminate 300 jobs, including her own. But what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about this conspiracy. "Sam, you don't understand," Margaret whispered, glancing nervously at her windows. "Hamilton isn't the one behind this. He's taking orders from someone much more powerful." "What do you mean?" Margaret walked to her home office and returned with a locked metal box. Inside were financial documents that made the scope of this scheme clear. Riverside Manufacturing wasn't just closing one plant. They were systematically shutting down every facility with strong union representation across 6 states. "The real decision-maker is board chairman Victor Sterling," Margaret explained. "Hamilton is just the hatchet man. Sterling owns manufacturing facilities in 12 countries and he's consolidating everything offshore." Sterling. I had heard that name whispered in corporate meetings but never paid attention. Now I realized we weren't fighting a local conspiracy. We were up against a billionaire with unlimited resources and political connections. "How long have you known about this?" I asked. 3 months. Sterling brought me into a private meeting and offered me early retirement with full pension if I stayed quiet. I've been wrestling with the decision ever since. Margaret's phone rang. Thompson's name appeared on the screen. "Don't answer it," I warned. "I have to. If I don't show up for work, they'll know something's wrong." Margaret answered with a shaky voice. Thompson's words were loud enough for me to hear through the speaker. "Margaret, we need to discuss your retirement package today. Can you come in early?" "Of course," Margaret replied, trying to sound normal. "Is everything all right?" "Just some paperwork to finalize. See you in an hour." Thompson was moving fast. Too fast. He suspected Margaret might know something and wanted to neutralize her before she could talk. "Don't go to the office," I said after she hung up. "It's a trap. Sam, I can't just disappear. They'll send security to my house. Then we need to contact someone with real authority. Someone Sterling can't buy or intimidate." Margaret locked the financial documents back in her metal box. "There is someone. State Labor Commissioner Janet Walsh. She's been investigating Sterling's other plant closures for the past year." Janet Walsh. The same woman who had prosecuted 3 other companies for illegal mass layoffs. If anyone could stop Sterling's plan, it would be her. "Do you have her contact information?" "Better than that. She's my cousin's daughter. I've known her since she was 12 years old." Finally, a break. Someone with power who might actually listen to our evidence. But we needed to move fast before Thompson and Hamilton realized what we were planning. Margaret called Janet Walsh while I listened on speaker. The conversation started awkwardly, but when Margaret mentioned Sterling's name, Walsh's tone changed completely. "Margaret, are you saying Sterling is planning to close Riverside Manufacturing?" "Within 18 months. I have the financial projections and closure timeline." "Can you prove the AI system was sabotaged to justify the closure?" I took the phone. "Commissioner Walsh, this is Sam Collins. I was fired yesterday for documenting the AI system failures. I have recordings of Thompson threatening me and emails proving the cover-up. Mr. Collins, can you be at my office this afternoon with all your evidence?" "Yes, but there's a problem. Thompson and Hamilton are destroying documents and making threats. We might not have much time." "Then we need to move immediately. I'm issuing emergency preservation orders for all Riverside Manufacturing records. They can't destroy anything else without facing federal charges." Walsh was taking this seriously. More seriously than I had dared hope. But Sterling had enough money and influence to make problems disappear, even federal investigations. "Commissioner, Sterling has political connections everywhere. How do we know he won't shut down your investigation? Because this isn't just about Riverside anymore. Sterling's companies are under investigation in 4 other states for the same pattern of illegal plant closures. Your evidence could be the missing piece that brings down his entire operation." Margaret and I looked at each other with growing hope. We weren't just fighting for our jobs anymore. We were part of a much larger battle against corporate greed and worker exploitation. "What do you need from us?" Margaret asked. "Everything. Financial records, email evidence, recorded conversations, and witness statements. But most importantly, I need you both to be willing to testify under oath about what you've discovered." Testifying meant going public. It meant facing Sterling's lawyers and potential retaliation. It meant risking everything for a chance at justice. "We'll do it," I said without hesitation. "Count me in too," Margaret added. 30 years with this company means something. I won't let Sterling destroy it for profit. Walsh gave us her office address and security protocols for delivering the evidence safely. But as we prepared to leave Margaret's house, my phone exploded with missed calls and voicemails. All from Thompson. His first message was professional. "Sam, we need to discuss your severance package. Please call me back." The second was more urgent. "Sam, there's been a misunderstanding about your termination. We'd like to offer you your job back." The third was desperate. "Sam, please call me immediately. We can work something out." Thompson was panicking. Someone had told him about my evidence or my meeting with Margaret. His confident facade was cracking under pressure. "He knows," Margaret said grimly. "They're watching us somehow." My phone rang with Thompson's number. This time I answered. "Sam, thank God. We need to talk immediately. There's been a terrible mistake about your firing." "Really? What kind of mistake?" "The kind that could hurt a lot of innocent people if we don't handle it properly. Can you meet me at the plant in 1 hour?" "Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, Margaret Chin is going to face some very serious accusations about financial irregularities." They were threatening Margaret now, using her as leverage to control me. But Thompson had made a critical error. He had just admitted they were monitoring our activities and targeting innocent people to protect their conspiracy. "Thompson, you just confessed to witness intimidation. I hope you know I'm recording this conversation." The line went dead. Margaret stared at me with wide eyes. "They're going to destroy me to get to you." "No, they're not. Because we're taking them down first. Time to end this war once and for all." Rodriguez grabbed my arm and pulled me behind a concrete pillar in the parking garage as Hamilton's black Mercedes pulled up to the state labor office building. Through the shadows, we watched him step out with 2 men in expensive suits who looked like corporate lawyers. But the third person who emerged made my heart sink into my stomach. Commissioner Janet Walsh. She was walking with Hamilton like they were old friends, laughing at something he had said. The woman I thought would save 300 jobs was apparently on Sterling's payroll, just like everyone else. "We're screwed," Rodriguez whispered. "If Walsh is working with them, who can we trust?" My phone buzzed with a text from Margaret. "Don't come to Walsh's office. It's a setup." Meeting location changed to Channel 7 newsroom. Channel 7. Margaret had contacted the media instead of the corrupt labor commissioner. Smart thinking, but also incredibly dangerous. Sterling's reach extended into newsrooms just as easily as government offices. "Change of plans," I told Rodriguez. "We're going to the TV station." "Are you insane?" "They'll destroy us publicly. They're already destroying us privately. At least this way, everyone will see the truth." Rodriguez shook his head but followed me to my car. As we drove through downtown traffic, I called Margaret to understand what had happened with Walsh. She played me perfectly, Margaret explained over the speaker. Acted interested, asked for copies of everything, then immediately called Hamilton. I overheard her telling him about our evidence. "How did you find out?" "I never left the building. When I went to use the bathroom, I heard her on the phone in the next office. She was reporting everything we discussed and asking for instructions. Walsh had been Sterling's inside person all along. Her investigation into plant closures was probably fake, designed to identify whistleblowers before they could expose the truth. We had walked straight into a trap." "Margaret, how do we know the TV station isn't compromised too?" "Because my nephew works there as a cameraman. He's been investigating Sterling's political donations for months. Channel 7 is the only station that hasn't taken Sterling's advertising money. One honest news team in a city full of corruption. It wasn't much, but it was something." The Channel 7 building looked like a fortress with security guards and metal detectors. Margaret was waiting in the lobby with a young man who shared her eyes and determined expression. "Sam, this is my nephew David. He's going to record our interview with investigative reporter Lisa Brennan." David Chin looked nervous but excited. "Aunt Margaret told me about the plant closure. Lisa's been trying to prove Sterling's political corruption for 2 years. Your evidence could be exactly what she needs." Lisa Brennan met us in a small conference room filled with video equipment. She was younger than I expected, maybe 35, with the intense focus of someone who had seen too much corporate lies. "Mr. Collins, I understand you have recordings of Thompson threatening you?" "Multiple recordings. Plus emails proving the AI system was sabotaged and financial documents showing the plant closure timeline." "What about witness testimony?" Margaret spoke up. "I can testify about Sterling's involvement and the broader conspiracy across multiple states." Lisa's eyes lit up. "This could be the breakthrough we've needed. But I have to warn you, Sterling has destroyed 3 other investigations through intimidation and legal threats. Are you prepared for what he'll throw at you?" Before I could answer, David's phone buzzed with an urgent alert. There's been an incident at the Riverside plant. Emergency crews are responding to some kind of chemical leak. Chemical leak. At a facility that hadn't had a safety incident in 15 years under my quality control procedures. The timing was too convenient to be accidental. They're creating a crisis to distract from our story, I realized. Lisa was already on her phone with the newsroom. It accrued to Riverside Manufacturing immediately. This could be connected to our Sterling investigation. What kind of chemicals? Margaret asked, her face pale with worry. David checked his news app. Initial reports mentioned toxic fumes in the quality control section. Several workers hospitalized. My stomach dropped. The quality control section where Rodriguez worked, where dozens of good people were following the same procedures I had established over 25 years. We have to go there, I said, standing up. Absolutely not, Lisa replied firmly. If this is staged, Sterling wants you there. Don't give him the opportunity. Those are my friends getting hurt because of a system I refuse to approve. Sam, your friends are getting hurt because Sterling is a sociopath who will sacrifice anyone to protect his profits. Don't let their suffering be in vain by walking into his trap. Lisa was right, but logic couldn't overcome the guilt crushing my chest. People I cared about were in danger while I sat safely in a TV studio. Rodriguez had risked his job to help me gather evidence. Now he might be paying the ultimate price. My phone rang with Thompson's number. This time his voice was different. Calm. Confident. Scary. Sam, I assume you've heard about the unfortunate accident at the plant. Accident? You mean sabotage? Careful with accusations, Sam. The chemical leak appears to be linked to maintenance issues in the quality control department. Issues that might have been prevented if our former quality supervisor had properly documented safety concerns instead of focusing on resisting innovation. They were framing me for the leak, turning my firing into the reason people got hurt. Sterling's legal team was already building a narrative that would destroy my credibility and shift blame away from their conspiracy. You're going to blame me for problems caused by your sabotaged AI system? I'm not blaming anyone, Sam. I'm simply noting that tragic consequences sometimes follow when experienced employees abandon their responsibilities. The line went dead. Thompson had just threatened me on a recorded line, but he didn't care anymore. Sterling's plan was moving to its final phase. Create a crisis, blame the whistleblower, and close the plant for safety reasons. 300 jobs lost. My reputation destroyed. And Rodriguez possibly fighting for his life in a hospital because he tried to help me. Lisa, how fast can you get our story on the air? With everything you've given me? 6 hours for a full investigation piece. We need it faster. Sterling is about to bury the truth under a mountain of crisis management and legal threats. Lisa looked at her watch. I can do a breaking news segment in 2 hours, but it won't have the impact of a full investigation. 2 hours might be too late. David suddenly looked up from his phone with wide eyes. Guys, you need to see this. Rodriguez just posted something on social media from inside the plant. He showed us his screen. Rodriguez had filmed the quality control section during the supposed chemical leak. Workers were evacuating, but there were no visible fumes or emergency equipment. Just a lot of shouting and confusion. This isn't a real chemical leak, Margaret whispered. It's theater. Sterling had just made his biggest mistake. Rodriguez had documented the fake emergency, and now we had proof of their deception in real time. Time to destroy Sterling's empire once and for all. Rodriguez's shaky cell phone video played on every television screen in the Channel 7 newsroom as I watched Sterling's carefully constructed lies crumble in real time. The footage showed workers being evacuated from a plant where no actual emergency existed, while supervisors directed the chaos like movie directors managing extras. But the next call I received would expose a betrayal that cut deeper than anything Sterling had done. Sam, it's Thompson. You need to listen carefully. I'm done listening to your lies. This isn't about lies anymore. It's about survival. Mine and yours. Something in Thompson's voice was different. The arrogance was gone, replaced by raw fear that made my skin crawl. Sterling just told me to eliminate all witnesses to the plant closure plan. That includes you, Margaret, and Rodriguez. He's not talking about firing people anymore, Sam. He's talking about permanent solutions. Permanent solutions. The words hit me like ice water. Sterling wasn't just destroying careers anymore. He was talking about destroying lives. Why are you telling me this? Because I have a daughter starting college next year and a wife who doesn't deserve to lose her husband over corporate greed. Sterling promised me a management position in Mexico, But now he's talking about eliminating everyone who knows about the conspiracy. Thompson was scared for his life. The man who had destroyed my career was now begging for my help because Sterling had turned on him too. What do you want from me? Protection. I'll testify against Sterling in exchange for immunity. I have recordings of every conversation, every order, every threat he made. Lisa Brennan grabbed my arm and mouthed, "Say yes," while pointing to her recording equipment. She wanted Thompson's confession on tape for the investigation. Thompson, if you're serious about testifying, come to Channel 7 immediately. Bring everything you have. I can't. Sterling has security watching my house. But I can send you the recordings electronically. How do I know this isn't another setup? Because in 30 minutes, Sterling's security team is going to visit your house looking for the evidence files. I overheard the order being given. My blood went cold. Sterling knew where I lived and was sending people to retrieve or destroy my backup files. The USB drives I had hidden around my house were in danger. Lisa, I need to go home immediately. Absolutely not. If Sterling's people are heading there, it's too dangerous. Those files are the only proof we have of the entire conspiracy. Without them, this story dies. David Chin looked up from his computer. What if we don't go to your house? What if we bring your house to us? What do you mean? I've been setting up remote security cameras for my college journalism project. If we can get cameras inside your house before Sterling's people arrive, we can broadcast the break-in live. Brilliant. Instead of risking our lives retrieving evidence, we could catch Sterling's people committing crimes on live television. But it meant sacrificing my home and possibly losing the physical evidence forever. Do it, I decided. David worked frantically with his equipment while Lisa prepared for a live broadcast. Margaret contacted her cousin at the Labor Department to report the threats against our lives. Rodriguez, who had safely evacuated from the fake chemical leak, joined us at the station with additional video evidence of the staged emergency. Thompson's promised recordings arrived by encrypted email just as David's cameras went live inside my house. The files contained dozens of conversations between Thompson and Sterling discussing the plant closure plan, the AI system sabotage, and my termination. But the most damaging recording was Sterling's voice giving explicit orders. Collins and his friends know too much. Handle the problem permanently. Sterling had just confessed to ordering what could only be interpreted as violence against witnesses, on a recorded line that was now evidence in a federal investigation. Lisa, how fast can we get this on the air? We're going live in 5 minutes with breaking news. This story is going to destroy Sterling's entire operation. David's security cameras showed 3 men in dark suits approaching my house. They moved like professionals, checking for neighbors and security systems before attempting to break in through my back door. Are you getting this? I asked David. Every second in high definition. They're about to commit breaking and entering on live television. The timing was perfect. Lisa's breaking news segment began with Thompson's recordings playing over footage of the men breaking into my house. The contrast was devastating. Sterling's voice giving orders to handle the problem permanently while his operatives committed crimes in real time. Rodriguez watched the footage with growing anger. These are the same guys who were at the plant during the fake chemical leak. I recognized the tall one from security camera footage. Sterling's conspiracy was unraveling faster than he could control it. His own security team was providing evidence of criminal activity while his recorded confessions played on live television. My phone exploded with calls from reporters, lawyers, and federal investigators. The story was spreading beyond Channel 7 to national news networks. Sterling's political connections wouldn't be able to stop this avalanche of evidence. Margaret received a call from her cousin at the Labor Department. The FBI is opening a formal investigation into Sterling's companies. They want to interview all of us tomorrow morning. What about Walsh? The corrupt commissioner? Already arrested. Turns out the FBI has been investigating her for months. Our evidence was the missing piece they needed. Walsh's betrayal had actually helped our cause by exposing another layer of Sterling's corruption. Sometimes the bad guys' greed worked against them. Thompson called again, his voice shaking with relief. Sam, thank you for taking my confession seriously. Sterling just fired me and threatened my family when he realized I was talking to investigators. Are you safe? FBI agents are at my house now. They're treating this as a witness protection situation. Sterling had lost his inside man at the plant, his corrupt contact in the Labor Department, and his ability to operate in the shadows. The conspiracy that had seemed so powerful 24 hours ago was collapsing under the weight of its own crimes. David's cameras captured Sterling's men leaving my house empty-handed. They had found nothing because the real evidence was already in federal hands. Their break-in had only provided more proof of criminal activity. 3 weeks later, I stood in front of Riverside Manufacturing as federal agents arrested Sterling, Hamilton, and 6 other executives. The plant closure plan was permanently canceled. The AI system was scrapped in favor of proven quality control methods. The company offered me my job back with a promotion to Director of Quality Operations. Rodriguez was promoted to supervisor. Margaret received early retirement with full pension and a consultant position helping investigate Sterling's other properties. Thompson testified against Sterling in exchange for immunity and job placement assistance. Williams and the other conspirators faced federal charges for fraud and witness intimidation. Standing in my old office, now with Director on the nameplate, I thought about the cost of fighting corruption. 25 years of loyalty had been tested by one man's greed, but the truth had ultimately prevailed. My first act as director was implementing new whistleblower protections for all employees. Nobody would ever again face retaliation for doing the right thing. Sterling's empire crumbled across 6 states, but 300 families in my town kept their jobs and their dignity. Sometimes the good guys actually win.